Hey everybody, thanks for joining me here today on our Training Thursday edition of the Cabral Concept. Always great to be able to connect with you each and every week on the show. Our Thursday shows are sometimes Toxicity Thursdays, Training Thursdays, all sorts of different topics, but I always love being able to get back to my exercise roots. I think most of you know that I spent the entire first 12 years to 14 years of my career as a certified nutritionist and personal trainer. Yes, I was doing strength and conditioning. I was doing all sorts of things in this particular field. But really, at the end of the day, it comes back to helping people achieve their goals. And that was actually a big start to also building confidence in the field of health and wellness, because as I was improving my overall health, my own health, and I was helping people gain muscle or lose weight or transform their body in any way, shape, or form, I actually realized, wow, these people are getting healthier at the same time. They're literally stopping smoking, they're lowering their cholesterol, lowering their blood pressure. All these things are happening. And again, I have to give you my medical disclaimer now that we are not here to provide any medical treatment plans, any medical advice, any medical-based cures. But I think, we all know when the body starts to get healthier, amazing things begin to happen, right? So I always love talking about fitness. I always love talking about health. I'm an avid exerciser, not so much anymore of trying to put on a lot of muscle. That's no longer my goal. That was a goal of mine in my early 20s. I'm no longer in my early 20s. I like now just to maintain a healthy body. I mean, that's really what it's all about. I like feeling healthy. I like feeling energetic, and that's really what it's all about. But a lot of people, when they hear about weightlifting, when they hear about exercise in general, they think a couple of things. One, it sounds really hard. Number two, it sounds like it takes a lot of time. Number three, it sounds like they're going to put on a lot of muscle. And really, none of those are true, but it prevents the majority of people from ever exercising in the first place. It really does. So it doesn't take a lot of time. I mean, inside of our new app, which is going to be debuting in just about maybe a month or so definitely stay tuned for that. It's going to be all free workouts inside of there, and they're going to be 20 minutes and under. So for sure, we can make it happen for you with a 10 to 20 minute workout. There's no doubt about that. Remember, it's consistency that gets you the results. It's not an hour workout once a week or twice a week. No, it's consistency that's going to get you the results over time. I mean, just think about it. If you exercise 4 times a week, just for 20 minutes, like if you look at it that way, maybe a little bit more if you have the time, you're looking at 200 workouts over the course of a year. Now, let's say you work out for an hour twice a week. Okay, it's not bad, but when I look at the math on that, I'm looking at 100 workouts versus 200 workouts. The consistency over time is what also helps enable you to enjoy all the benefits I'm going to share with you here today. Beyond the blood sugar benefits and all that, I want to talk about what exercise can do for you beyond transforming the weight loss or the muscle gain, whatever you're looking for, because you're not going to bulk up. Like, that's the thing. I just remember, even in my early 20s, bulking up for a lot of people, most people, is not an easy thing. For women, even more challenging because you have even less testosterone. So, we have to understand that this whole bulking up thing is a myth that will probably be perpetuated into eternity. And I understand it because some people who lift weights and they have a lot of muscle, you're like, oh, well, you equate all that lifting with all that muscle. And so I totally get that, but that's just not the case. And just remember, you can always scale back your lifting at any point if you see your muscles getting too big. And I used to say that to clients all the time, legitimately all the time. I'm like, hey, at any point, if you see yourself getting too muscular, you let me know and we'll scale back. And they're like, okay, I'll let you know. And so, it never happened. It actually happened with one male client of mine. And because again, I always want to be fair and unbiased, and it did. And even though he was getting like noticeable results, not too big at all, but like noticeable results, broader shoulders, more muscular arms, more muscular chest, bigger, like better V taper, lean. We're not talking about big muscular person, like lean. It's funny. And I'm laughing to this day because he said, listen, he's like, I don't want to get any bigger. He said, because I have all these suits and I don't want to have to buy all new suits. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I'm like, you're getting the results and now you don't want to get any bigger because you don't want to have to buy all new suits. Totally get it. So what do we do? Well, we just scaled back his workout. That's all we did. We didn't go as heavy. We didn't do as much volume. And so at any time you can stop. And this is a male with a good amount of testosterone. And they were like 36 years old. So again, we just want to kind of keep all of this in mind. All right. Let's get into though. I wanted to just share with you 6 or 7, 5, at least 5 benefits of why lifting weights, so why exercise, and then even some running, I'm going to explain why, can give you a whole lot of benefits beyond just trying to transform the shape of your body, right? So the first one is we talk about muscle, right? We talk about gaining muscle, losing muscle, but I want to talk about beyond the aesthetics. Like that doesn't, again, it doesn't matter as much to me. I want to help people achieve their goals, yes, but muscles do a whole lot for your body. One is they're going to add strength. They're going to help with endurance. But a lot of times we don't look at this. The more muscle you have, and again, I'm not talking about adding 30 pounds of muscle to your body, but the more metabolically active muscle you have, meaning even if you just use your own muscle, you actually use it more days than not, you're going to burn more calories. That's nice because you can actually eat more food and not gain weight. So that's always a big benefit if you enjoy food. The second one is that the food you do eat gets better metabolized because your muscles are metabolically active. So you actually use those carbohydrates and protein, the amino acids, as fuel to help rebuild that tissue that broke down. So that's pretty nice too. But if we're talking about longevity, well, now we're talking about, okay, if we use our muscles, we have more ATP, right? Well, we have more mitochondria, I should say, better performing mitochondria. And the better performing mitochondria can help us with adenosine triphosphate, ATP, which gives not only our body, but our brain energy as well. So now we're looking at exercising, leading to better metabolism in terms of our food and carbohydrates especially, but also producing more energy for the brain and body. That's a great thing, right? We also talk about what? All of the endorphins that are produced when we exercise. What are those? Well, those are things that can lead to improved dopamine response, overall norepinephrine, which are excitatory neurotransmitters, but then that calming effect at night with that GABA or serotonin. So these are really important factors to look at beyond just, oh, I want to add more muscle to my body. Because again, even if you don't add any muscle, exercising can improve overall mood, metabolism, and energy. Another one is more physiological, and that's bone. So the issue is this, and this is actually why it's really important for both men and women, and believe it or not, even more important for women, before the age of 27 to lift weights. And you might say, that sounds really strange. Why is that important? Because the vast majority of bone you will ever create in your life, especially for women, is created during the teenage years and early 20s. And after about 25 to 27, that's about it. That's the bone that you will have created as your max essentially for life. Now you can lose some, gain a little. That does happen just like with muscle, right? But that's about it. So this is why it's important, because that bone needs to stay with you. And why that's important is because once you get into your 60s, falling or breaking a hip or bone is one of the reasons why people start to go downhill very quickly. Because if they lose their quality of life, it can lead to depression. And it can send people into rehab, meaning rehabilitation for that broken hip or whatever it is. Then there's a loss of overall muscle mass, a loss of that quality of life, a loss of that function of the body. They're more worried then about falling in the future. It's really important. We want to be able to keep our body strong. And by lifting weights or doing uphill sprints, that's one of the caveats. Sprinting uphill will actually improve bone density in the lower body. Pretty good, right? So you can walk up hills. It does work, not to the same degree, because you need tension. So if you're not watching this in video, this is me basically hitting the body, the bones. It's that tension, it's that impact, which makes them stronger. That's really it. So, okay, like how do we improve? How do we essentially build better muscle? Well, we improve the tension under the muscle. Some people use weights, but the weights could be your body weight, bands, kettlebell, barbells, sandbags. It literally does not matter. And the reason is your body doesn't know the weight that you're holding. It notices through what's called proprioception, how it's holding it in space and the tension that it's causing on your muscles. So if you want to improve performance, you improve tension. But I'm not going to talk about that on today's show. I'm sure I did a podcast on time under tension before. But the bones also improve through tension and impact. Plyometrics, jumps, depth jumps, but you have to be careful with those things. Again, don't start with plyometrics if you're a beginner, right? You can move up to that. You can literally just walk uphill. You can also, of course, you want to do your squats, deadlifts, step ups, lunges. And again, if you have any issues with those and you have any pain with that, certainly see a good certified personal trainer, but also I have many podcasts on what to do if you have knee pain when squatting, etc. And you can find all these podcasts by going to stephencabral.com/podcast. And just on the right-hand side, if you're on desktop, click on the category that says Training Thursdays. All right. The next one is ligaments. So we're going to be talking about ligaments. Why are ligaments important in the first place? Well, ligaments, if we're thinking about like, well, what does ligament do? It's going to improve the overall stability of your joints, right? So if we're talking about like the knee joint, we've got at least 4 ligaments there, and we're looking at the ACL, PCL, LCL, MCL, and we're saying, well, what do all these ligaments do? Well, they hold that knee in place because your knee, you've got your femur up here, you've got 2 lower body shin bones there. You want to make sure that there's not a lot of twisting. If there's twisting to the knee, bad things happen. That's how you get those ACL tears, MCL tears, PCL tears, etc. So when we want to understand this, we say, well, if we are lifting weights properly, we can actually thicken the ligaments. And not to a great degree, but we can actually increase the strength and thickness of them. And the studies that I've seen have been those people that lift weights can have ligaments, especially of the ACL, of 4 times thicker than average. That's essentially 4 times stronger than average. Well, probably it's exponential. I don't have the strength on there, but it's most likely exponential. The thickness of your ACL is probably not a 1-for-1 as it begins to become thicker, as long as there's the flexibility, not flexibility in the ligament, but in the rest of the body, like the quadriceps, hamstrings, etc. So that's an important one to look at, because when we talk about stability of a joint, we want to look at the overall ligaments. Now, always working with ligaments would be tendons. Tendons are essentially connected to those muscles. The tendons are important as well. One, you need to keep those tendons pliable. So when I'm talking about exercising, you want to work through a full range of motion. A lot of people talking about, limited range of motion, LROM. There's a time and place for that. I'm not saying there's not a time and place for that. Even maybe at the end of a set, there's a time and place for that. But if you're not using full range of motion, then you're not actually expanding, stretching the ligaments like they should be. Do you want to overstretch? Do you want to overstretch ligaments or tendons? No, you do not. Of course you do not. Then you could lead to tears. But what I'm talking about is making sure that those tendons don't become calcified. And if you're always in this small, limited range of motion all day, you can lead to tight muscles, tight tendons, or even calcification of those tendons. And tendons can actually be strengthened and thickened just like muscles through weight training. The next one is going to be, think about sprinting up that hill again, even running in general. So this actually works with running, or think about it with putting a load on the shoulders. So that would be dumbbells on the shoulders, barbell on the shoulders, holding a kettlebell like a goblet squat, anything that's increasing what's called intra-abdominal pressure, like where you feel that tension in your core, okay? And then there's a weight coming down on you. What happens is it actually strengthens the discs between your spinal or your spine vertebrae. So you've got all these vertebrae from your neck, your cervical, all the way down through your coccyx and sacrum. And what those discs do is they provide cushion, but they also provide healthy nutrient and blood flow to that specific area, but they're also adding to stability, right? So all of this matters. The people that don't overdo it, but work out or do some aerobic impact cardio have thicker discs to a good degree, to a healthy degree, than those people who don't. People who don't exercise, again, not overdoing it, can have much faster disc degeneration than those people that do exercise. And again, keep training your core to keep your spine in its natural neutral position. One more I wanted to add for you today is cartilage. We hear about all the time people's cartilage wearing out in their knees, and then they need knee replacements because it's essentially bone on bone, right? Well, what happens is you might think that exercising wears out your cartilage. It's actually not true. Repetitive motion injuries do exist, and they do exist with long distance cardio. And that's because you're doing the same repetitive motion over and over. Does it happen to everyone? No, it doesn't. I mean, one of the people that I follow online is Cam Hanes. Cameron Hanes runs a half marathon to a marathon like 4 to 5 times a week. It's completely insane. I mean, it's absolutely amazing what his body does. And again, I'm not saying anything negative. He's one of the outliers. Most people have knee degeneration from all of that work that they would be doing. Some people don't. Now, remember, someone like myself and many other people, I might run 2 or 3 miles twice a week, right? And I might do a little bit of biking. We're not talking about overdoing it. And for not overdoing the cardio aspect of it, biking, running, etc., rowing, but also then doing weight training, you're not doing it to excess. And for the people who don't do it to excess, we seem to have better than average cartilage in the knees, and the rest of the body matters as well. But really, when we're talking about cartilage wear down, for the most part, we're talking about the intervertebral discs, and we're also talking about the knees for the most part. So that's what we're looking for. One of the biggest issues, and I think one of the reasons why Cam Hanes' knees are holding up, is that he's probably in pretty good alignment. So that matters because your knee is a hinge joint. So I don't want to get too deep on this, but if the knee twists when you run, or your feet pronate in or supinate out because of arch-based issues or limited ankle flexibility or mobility, then it can cause cartilage issues in the knees because it just moves up the body. It's like a kinetic chain, right? Your impact starts at the ground, and if the ankles are good. But if the knees aren't proper, or let's say you have tight adductor muscles or whatever, and your knees rotating in, okay, that's going to wear down the cartilage to a greater degree because it's not proper. It's not impacting as the full cartilage, right? The meniscus, the cartilage in there. And because of that, it's twisting and maybe cutting off a little piece of that medial part of the cartilage. So that's what I want you to look at. But keep in mind that healthy levels of exercise, they're helping with energy, with mood, with metabolism, with your overall anti-aging and quality of life. And that's why even if you are not someone that wants to add a lot of muscle, lose a lot of weight, transform your body in any wild way, you do get all of these benefits by weight training 2 to 3 times a week. And that's it, 2 to 3 times a week. So, and I'm talking about my workouts are never longer than 30 minutes. They really aren't. They're almost never longer than 30 minutes. So I've already shared my schedule with you. It does change from season to season, but right now I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday weight training, and Tuesday and Thursday I do some running, some cardio. That will change when I start to get, again, more into like sprint triathlons, things like that. But typically the weekends are just being active, and that's it. Like, it's just active with my daughters, and that's their time. But Monday through Friday, I'm getting in a 30-minute workout, and that's what this is. And I'm not overdoing any of it. And I'm telling you right now, I'm looking, sure, I like the benefits today, but I'm also thinking about the benefits tomorrow and 30 and 40 years from now. So if you haven't started, there's no better time to start than now. Start just with 5-minute, 10-minute workouts. Start with body weight only and work your way up. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be one of the greatest things you give yourself for the next 10, 20, 30 years and beyond. Hopefully today's show was helpful. As always, please do feel free to share with me any comments you may have right on YouTube or right on Instagram. I love to be able to read them and respond. And of course, if this show was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve.